I have a problem, and it's this right here. And no, it's not the fox, it's the lighting. It's too dark. But we can fix all that, like this. See, this is much better, but I should probably give an explanation on what even happened here. To keep story time somewhat short, before Quake we had Wolfenstein, which had no lighting, so we can skip that and go straight on to Doom, which has sectors. Sectors allowed level designers to have more control over the appearance of a room, such as brightness and lighting effects, along with other things, but those two are the focus here. Entities like the player or monsters will take on these effects when they are within the sector, and these will switch as they move from one to the other. With Quake, levels now had actual lighting. Multiple lights could be placed in a room and have different brightnesses or effects per the individual light. Lighting overall can now be much more complex. However, how does this affect the entities within a room? Well, what the programming team went with was saving the lighting data to the nearest floor. And to explain that, let me get my art skills going here. So we have this floor here, and I'll add in these green dots to represent the lighting data for the surface. Entities will look for the nearest node to them and apply the brightness, and later in time, color, to itself. If we place another entity up here, it will have the exact same brightness and color as the one below, as the only data for it to reference is at floor level. And the only way it could have different information is if we add another floor up here like this. The reasoning for this may have been to keep the file size down, or it was less complex for the CPU to handle at runtime, versus averaging all the lights in a three-dimensional space. Remember that this was 1996 and the game was originally made for software rendering. And to be fair to Quake, the game has monochromatic lighting anyways, so it isn't all that noticeable. It's there, but it's hard to catch at first. However, no one seemed to be bothered with improving this, as some years later with Half-Life, the issue is still there. And id's next game, Quake 2, hasn't improved this either, only recently being updated with the remaster by Night Dive. So how did Night Dive do this? Well, with the light grid system. Going back to the art piece here, we can start with the same floor, but now the green lighting data is up in the air. Now with these two entities placed, the lighting data for each will be different. Okay, so what does all this have to do with my game? Well, I was limited to the same surface lighting as well. I wasn't a fan of this since the game is a third-person platformer, and having cam on the screen 90% of the time makes these blemishes very noticeable. And going through this little test map I have here shows you just how bad this can be. Yeah, it's not great. I needed to fix this. My first solution was to just not have lighting on models at all. A lot of my earlier videos showed this, and I'd rather there be no lighting than jank lighting. However, by disabling brightness and only having color, there was still some issues. And not having lighting on models is just kinda lame. These enemies look much better with the glowing bits on them actually doing something. My second solution was to just figure out this whole light grid thing and see if I could implement this myself. And I did! Running through the same test map with this new system shows just how much better this is. Cam here is now correctly lit and doesn't suddenly go dark over pits. And remember, this applies to all models as well, so enemies on the ground or flying are also able to use this. It might not seem like a whole lot, but for me, this makes a world of difference in this game. This is easily one of the biggest improvements I've made, and I'm glad I did it. Anyways, that's all I got for you for now, so thanks for watching.